put in perspective how stressed out Dana White is right now. UFC 303 could be on the verge of being canceled altogether. Never mind Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler. They're obviously talking about possibly putting on a title fight, which is a rematch between Jiri Prochazka and El-Kheer. And I'm thinking to myself, is anybody really interested in seeing that after what El-Kheer did to Jiri? And if so, obviously it is just a desperate attempt in order for Dana White to save a card in which people paid 5 figures in order to sit on the front row seats. And within that 40 seconds that I just explained everything to you, put yourself in a position of somebody like Dana White, who is a CEO of one of the biggest sports companies in the world, in particular the UFC, where their whole entire ethos of the company is obviously to generate as much pay-per-view buys and garner viewership on all social media platforms, on top of having all these types of TV deals and views on different platforms, as I just mentioned earlier. But Dana White right now has to contend with all these things, and knowing that one of the biggest shows, which, by the way, garnered already one of the biggest gates ever in the history of the UFC, now down into shambles based on the fact that Dana White has to make a replacement for Conor McGregor's return, which was against Michael Chandler, or probably still is against Michael Chandler. But again, nobody knows. And one of the reasons why nobody really knows is because Dana White has not gone and spoke out in public or in social media platforms or in some sort of formal press conference to sort of relay the message that, hey, this is what's going on. The problem is you have a card that is so huge and already prepaid to its highest full maximum order. And now you have to contend with possibly refunding all those tickets or replacing something that is between that or at least equal to it. And that is the issue that Dana White has to now contend with. I got to be honest, man, this is a very serious problem for Dana White. And not only that, maybe even for Conor McGregor's whole entire reputation as a whole. Again, we don't really know or have any more to say other than that. But like and subscribe, because as the time goes on and as this whole entire fiasco moves into some sort of result or some sort of announcement, we're not going to know anything up until now. But in the meantime, don't forget to like and subscribe and stay tuned for some updates on this matter as it develops, inshallah. All right, so here we are. This is the update right now as we speak, as we are talking to you right now. And obviously within the 12-minute mark of this particular stream, I'm going to talk about Conor McGregor fighting at 36 years old the next time this happens. Now, we don't know the full extent of this injury and what really had happened to Conor McGregor, but what we do know right now is that it's not enough for them to scrap the fight altogether, meaning that there is a future date. They don't know what it is, perhaps maybe somewhere in the immediate future and whatnot. But rest assured, this fight is happening one way or another. Now, why is that important to understand? Because when this fight happens, at some point, Conor McGregor is going to be, at the very least, 36 years old. And I want you to put that in perspective. As somebody that is fighting at 170, yes, we understand, but realistically, he is fighting for the legacy 155 division, because Michael Chandler is obviously a long-time 155 champion in Bellator, came over as a 155 sensation in the UFC, one of the most exciting fighters in that particular weight class. So as a result, guess what? This is for people that are 155 and, quite frankly, people who are 36 years old at 155. It's just not in the statistical favor of Conor McGregor to any degree. And one has to question, you know what? If I'm wrong, and that's the beauty about combat sports, there is no right way or wrong way, even though there are people out there that will try and make it seem like they are definitively clear in what is going on when we're talking about combat sports. And 9 times out of 10, we're talking about fights that haven't happened yet. And if we are talking about fights that have already happened, well, we're not giving the full details and understanding of, let's say, the full scope of what had gone on if, let's say, this person got caught with a lucky punch, or this person got caught with a lucky submission, or just in a tricky situation that really doesn't allow them to give their full, undivided account of themselves. These are all different factors and variations that a lot of people are not going to take into consideration. But statistical facts show that when you are over the age of 35, it's going to be very difficult for you to compete at the 155 division. Ask Josh Thompson. He was one of the best 155ers in the world at one time, even beat Nate Diaz just right before he had gone to retire. And guess what? He just knew he wasn't able to compete at a certain age, and that's just what it is. But we also got to understand something else right now, right? As we embark on the 16-minute mark of this particular live stream, I'm going to talk about your prime days and the reality of your prime days. Why is that important to understand? Well, first, let me mark this down. All right, so here we go. On the 16-minute mark, which is right now, we're going to talk about the reality of your prime days. And by the way, a lot of this really correlates to Conor McGregor. You want to know what else correlates to Conor McGregor is Old Glory. You see, there are cities around the world, in particular, let's talk about Los Angeles. I got to be honest with you, as beautiful as Los Angeles is, and by the way that they make it look so beautiful on TV, and obviously, being that it's Hollywood, it has all the PR agents, all the visual effects crews, and experts in the world that are living in that part of the world, which really makes this particular region look way more beautiful than what it is. And don't get me wrong, it's great. But the reality is that I've been in different parts of the world. I've seen cleaner cities. I've been to third world countries that are way cleaner than California. And that's just being true to God honest. And the iconic landmarks that you sort of notice in California, right? For example, the skate park that you notice in Venice Beach, which, by the way, I had a privilege to have seen. I'm going to show you some footage of that in just a little bit. Among other things, Beverly Hills, right? Driven past by there in the middle of the night. As I have mentioned to you guys earlier, I'm going to show you some videos of that as well. But one thing remains clear, and here's Brian Ortega, by the way, who's from LA, who, by the way, is part of the replacement card. We're going to talk about that. Also, Diego Lopez, we're going to talk about that. Khamzat Chimaev, we're going to talk about the fact that he was pulled out of his fight in Saudi Arabia due to a serious injury, and correlates to this whole entire title of the whole entire June month being big for MMA. And obviously June was big for boxing, and all it took was Conor McGregor and Khamzat to be taken out. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about his prime days, because rest assured, he definitely is in his prime days right now. And what does this replacement mean for Ikram Ali Askarov if he were to win, considering that Khamzat Chimaev had slept him? We're going to talk about that. Give some full details on that matter at hand, right? Obviously, if Ali Askarov was to win against Robert Whitaker, I got to be honest with you, I think this is a great shot for Khamzat to just walk up in there and get a title shot. Why? Because he slept him. Speaking of mental health and understanding your mental fortitude and walking into fights, we're going to talk about Usyk and Fury Part 2 and the recent videos that have came out of Tyson Fury. A lot of people are going to basically go into his mental health status at hand. So we're going to talk about that. So that is what we have for this particular show. But for now, let's talk about the prime days of Conor McGregor, right? Well, obviously, as I had told you guys, I had a trip down in SoCal. And what was interesting about it, you're always going to be very insecure when you're down in SoCal. It's a very dangerous area, right? You never know what's going to happen. Obviously, here's a video that I had posted on my social media a couple of days prior, right? It was these group of people that was doing a takeover. For those of you that don't know what a takeover is, it's basically one of these little car sideshows that they got going on, right? And if you look right here, I mean, it is just people acting a fool and running up on people's houses and whatnot. So these are the inherent dangers that you're always going to think about when you are in Southern California. So here's Universal Studios right here, just a little snippet of what you could see right here. I'm going to turn off the music on this one right here. So this right here. And by the way, all of this correlates to what we are talking about. I'm just trying to get this cooking right now, just so you guys can get full context of this situation that I'm going to convey to you right now, right? So that's basically Universal right there. You guys get the point of that. Also, let's see. This is one of the rides, the Simpson rides that you guys will see in Universals. So this is the line. Obviously, the some of the little features that they have before you're waiting in line and whatnot. So, and then here's one thing that I think a lot of people don't take into consideration when it comes to basically the traffic that you have to deal with, right? Obviously, this is in Hollywood and Sunset. And this correlates to all of this because guess what? Here's something that I want you guys to understand in full context, right? So LA, as beautiful as it is, and by the way, a great landscape that it has going on, you got to understand that they are living off of old glory, right? The old glory of the past, obviously the iconic images that this particular city sort of offers you, right? So let's see. Here's some Cortezes that I got. Obviously, these are classic Cortezes that you don't often see anymore. So this right here is the Venice Beach. And again, this is what I was telling you guys, the iconic images that this particular place has. But take into consideration, as great and as beautiful Venice is, and being that it was featured in a lot of different movies and things of that nature, and you've seen Tupac sort of do an interview right in that particular spot. Here's the spot I was telling you guys about where all the skaters are sort of at right here. So let me just skip over to the skate scenes because I think that is the pretty interesting part of this video right here. So I'm going to mute this because obviously there's some music going on that we probably don't want to get copy struck for. So yeah, you guys get the point, right? So, and then here's Muscle Beach, by the way, very famous, by the way, for White Men Can't Jump. If you guys remember that movie with Woody Harrelson, that is where they played the pickup game right there. And obviously, Muscle Beach is also there, the world famous Muscle Beach and whatnot. So, this is everything that Southern California has to offer you, right? Is the glory of its past. And keep in mind, this is still in the same subject that we are talking about. See right here, $10 entry fees and whatnot. Uh, by the way, was a very big hub for bodybuilders back in the 1970s. If you guys remember watching all the Arnold Schwarzenegger documentaries and whatnot. And then right here, here's an interaction. Check this out right here. If you are in Venice, right here, you got to tap into my man Adam right here, right? You know, my man Adam from Iraq. Oh, thank you, brother. Thank you. Hey, so shukran, brother. So if you guys are in Venice, you know, tap in with Adam right here. He's right here by the skate park. You see the skate park right here. He's right here. Tap in with him. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, brother. Check this out right here. If you are in Venice. Yeah, so, and then here's the Venice beach right here. This is me videotaping the beach just, and then taking a swim at the beach right here. So very famous beach, obviously. Hulk Hogan has been here. All the guys in the 80s where basically the old glory of California had came from and whatnot. So the point of the matter of this whole entire thing that I'm going to show you, you guys get the point and whatnot. The point that I'm trying to make right here is that this particular place, okay, this is the, yeah, we don't need to see that. That's the hotel. That's, let's see here. So these are Universal Studios and whatnot. By the way, check out the video that I did on the Universal City ride. It's right here if you guys want to check it out. Right in the stream, just right next to the one that you are watching right now. So if you guys want to check that out, it is right here. The whole entire, let me just give you the best parts right here, which is right here. See the crash site that they got going on here.
The film, a former child star tries to harness power of mysterious new phenomenon to the world its next big spectacle. The things were probably doomed from the start.
And how about this one? The Fast and Furious simulation we got going on right here.
I got the move what I want. Now we're moving. God, look out! You can do what.
All right. So the point of the matter of the entire trip that I'm trying to show you is that one thing that I've learned about LA is that, yes, there's a lot of destitution that is going on. There's a lot of rental problems that are going on. The cost of living is so high that it is no wonder many people have become homeless, unfortunately, as a result of it, right? So what LA is basically living through right now is just its old glory and past, right? Because obviously there's a lot of people around the world that come and travel to see California, and in particular Los Angeles. Now, obviously the other parts of California is not so much of a tourist hub, not in the way that LA is. And why is that? Although there is a growing tourism that is going on in Sacramento, but why is it that people gravitate towards LA? Well, I'm going to tell you, for the same reason why Conor McGregor is a huge attraction to the world of MMA, no matter what his current state is right now, which is what, unfortunately, we would be foolish not to say that he isn't, that he is no longer, I mean, that he is still in his prime. It would be foolish to say that. You would have to be the biggest Conor McGregor fanboy to really believe that particular notion. Because once again, what I've mentioned earlier, the stats don't add up to his favor. Not only that, this particular notion that he's going to run through Michael Chandler because of the style that he provides, well, that would be true if this was the 2016 Conor McGregor. And that is the unfortunate aspect of this whole entire matter that we are looking at. Just so much time has been wasted because of the fact that he was too big to just be put on a fight with no particular reservations of, let's say, having to book the hotels, having to set up a certain amount of money, having to set up a certain amount of investments in a promotion. It's very difficult to put on a Conor McGregor fight. So as a result, it halted his career, and in particular during the pandemic days. Right? So this is the important part that I want to talk about right now, right? On the 29-minute mark, I'm going to talk about how the pandemic Okay, so the pandemic and Conor, because we've seen him make a comeback just right after, let's say, the Khabib fight, right against, let's say, Cerrone. So during a pandemic, why was it difficult to make Conor McGregor fight? Well, for one, you can't have him fight in the Apex centers, right? He even mentioned, hey, you know what? In the Apex Center, I could hear the shots going, and there's nobody that's there to, let's say, interfere with the noise and things of that nature. This is what Conor McGregor had going on in his mind. Now, here's something that you got to understand. You can't just put on a Conor McGregor fight with nobody in the building, because guess what? Where does most of Conor McGregor's money truly comes from? It comes from the gate. Yes, he's a pay-per-view star as well, but they make even more money on the gate, at least within that particular night of, let's say, getting their checks right away or seeing the money flow right into the UFC bank. It's right there. So they have to take advantage of that. But unfortunately for Conor McGregor, it just wasn't easy to do that. He had already built a momentum from the first round knockout with Donald Cerrone. He wanted to build it off with, let's say, a side matchup, a side quest against Diego Sanchez, to which the UFC told him no. And now he's in this situation where, unfortunately, he is too famous for his own good in order for him to just get a simple fight. And in here we are. We're back with Dustin Poirier. What happened with Dustin Poirier? He gets knocked out. Why? Because he got caught slipping. Why did he get caught slipping? Well, for the simple fact that he wasn't active enough. His body wasn't used to the motions and the routines of a yearly schedule as a professional fighter. And then he comes back in the rematch, or the trilogy, which is a rematch within the same year. And unfortunately, he had broken his leg. Now, as a result of that, it halted his career even longer. And here we are. The next time we're going to see Conor McGregor is literally when he is 36 years old. And man, that's insane. Really, if you think about it. But that's what we have going on. So what else do we have going on in this situation right now is Khamzat Chimaev. Okay, so we talked about how LA is literally living off of its old glory, whereas with Conor McGregor is sort of in that trajectory right now. Brian Ortega has an opportunity to basically make his name even bigger than what it already is by stepping in. Diego Lopez has an opportunity to take all that clout away from him. Now let's focus the shift on Khamzat Chimaev, and in particular, his fight with Robert Whitaker and Ali Askarov. So let's mark this down right here. Okay, on the 33-minute mark, we're going to talk about why Khamzat's injury is good for him, believe it or not. All right. So on this 33-minute mark, we're going to talk about why this injury is good for Khamzat. Simple fact is that he beat the guy that is replacing him for the Robert Whitaker fight. He slept him in Brave FC, which, by the way, one can argue maybe these guys have already had their toughest competition against each other before they had gone on to the UFC. And I always argue that people get better as soon as they step into the UFC, and Ali Askarov could be that particular type of person. Now, moving on with Khamzat Chimaev. He's got an injury going on. They say that this is really serious, right? We don't know what it is. However, he needs time to recover. But having this fight with Ali Askarov and Whitaker, let's say in the hypothetical sense that Whitaker loses to Ali Askarov, because it's a great possibility. Guess what? This only fast tracks Khamzat Chimaev into the title picture. Because why would you fight a guy that got slept by a guy that you slept in Ali Askarov? Think about that. So, in other words, this injury is a blessing for Khamzat Chimaev based on the fact that he just has to let Ali win this fight. And by the way, that's a big if. There are no guarantees in MMA. I'm just giving you the best case scenario. Ali Askarov moves up the rankings. And by the way, he's so low on the rankings, I wouldn't be surprised if he only reaches a little bit higher into the top 10, but nowhere in the top 5 if he was to beat Robert Whitaker. And Robert Whitaker, well, this is just another day in the office for him. He has to win this. And if he wins this, well, there's really nothing in it for him. And that's just the reality of it. So guess what? Ali Askarov has a great chance to make it big for him and Khamzat together. Let me repeat that again. In order for Khamzat to get a title shot, Ali Askarov has to just win this fight. If Ali Askarov wins this fight, he moves up the rankings way sooner than what we would have expected. And Khamzat Chimaev automatically gets a title shot because guess what? He slept the guy that slept the guy, and you know how that goes. So moving on from that particular storyline, obviously that's going to save the Saudi Arabia card. How about Usyk and Fury part 2, right? Obviously, there's been some videos going on with Tyson Fury. I'm going to mark this down right here on the 36-minute mark. So here on the 36-minute mark, we're going to talk about Tyson Fury and his troubles post-Usyk. So it's a lot of people out there are speculating that he's going to have mental health issues because of the loss. We're sort of already seeing that. Him stumbling over while he's supposed to be in training camp. And yes, I understand that the training camp is in a long way, but it sets a bad precedent for a bad habit. And now here's the thing. Tyson Fury is bipolar. And as a result of his bipolar disorder, you don't know what he's going to get. In order for him to win this fight against Alexander Usyk, you know what he has to do? He has to be absolutely perfect along the way. And that's not going to happen with an inconsistent bipolar person. And that's what we got in Tyson Fury, unfortunately. So with that said, I think that he needs a lot of those days where he is up. Those people that are bipolar, they know what I mean by that. Obviously, I'm not anybody that has bipolar disorders, nor would I know anything about it. But you do understand that when you are bipolar, you have highs of the highs and the lows of the lows. And in order for Tyson Fury to succeed in his training camp, he really has to have a lot of highs in most of those days, and he has to do it in a very consecutive level in order for him to fight somebody like Alexander Usyk, who's been in shape his whole entire life. I heard Joe Rogan and Rick Ross talk about Adrian Broner this past weekend with, let's say, Adrian Broner and his current loss, right? So Joe Rogan and Rick Ross said something to the effect, well, you can't be this way when everybody out there who is at an elite level is training like this 365 and being consistent 10 years of their career. Whereas with Adrian Broner, he got fat. He got into this journey where he started training with Gervonta Davis. And as a result, unfortunately, you're playing catch up. You're just trying to get in shape while these guys are already in shape all year round while developing their skills. And that is a problem that I think Tyson Fury is going to have going into this particular fight with Alexander Usyk as a result of that. So, once again, this is going to be a very tough matchup for Tyson Fury. A real tough matchup. And if you don't think that it's going to be a tough matchup for Tyson Fury, I mean, I honestly think that you're just a Tyson Fury a supporter, you're a fanboy, and if so, then I can understand that, but you're not given any objective reasons as to how this guy is going to win. Now, can he win? Yes. But what is predicated on his win is based on the consistency that he needs to take on somebody like Alexander Usyk, who's been consistent all throughout his life. He didn't have any of those stint moments in 2015 where he had gained weight and got into this mental health crisis. He's been consistent all year round, and that is something you're going to have to expect taking on a monster like that. So, with that in mind, I think we have covered everything that we wanted to cover for this live stream. This is all that I basically have for this particular time frame right now. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hope you guys watch all the contents that I've had in the past couple of days. Also, some of the contents that I've had with recording and live streaming the Universal Studios tour. That's a real treat for you guys to check out. Something a little bit outside of MMA. But I'm going to be dropping more videos and more content in this particular week and the next week. And by the way, today, let me just announce a couple of fights that we have today. So we have on the boxing scene. Let's for those that are tapping in, let me just let's see here. The schedule that they have today. There's some boxing today. Obviously, there's UFC today. We're going to take a look at that for just a second. The boxing card today, by the way, this is Saturday of today that you're watching this. So you got Sabril versus Liam Paro, Gervonta Davis versus Frank Martin. How about that? Right? Obviously, there was a little bit of a face-off right here. Check this out. I don't want to play the audio. I don't know if you will get caught.
There they are, ladies and gentlemen. The WBA Lightweight World Championship.
And on top of that, you also have Chris Billiam-Smith taking on Richard Rakpour. That's going to be a good one. So 3 boxing fights and a UFC card to look forward to today. Alex Perez taking on the undefeated 15-0 Tatsuro Taira, 15-0 at the flyweight division, right? And here are some other matchups that they have right here. Ali Askarov was supposed to be in this fight. Obviously, they pulled him out and gave him a card for the Saudi Arabia card next week. And these are the fights that you have right here. So, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm going to talk more about these fights today, tomorrow, and the next coming days. And don't forget to watch from beginning to end. And I will see you guys in the next stream, inshallah.